doing. Their new movie, Jay and Silent Bob's Reboot, hit yesterday and will be in theaters again tomorrow night. We personally weren't able to screen a copy ourselves because you have to be part of a fan meetup, and I ain't got no time for that. But the fact that it was fan-funded is also pretty cool. And finally, Vault Comics. They've been in business for 2 years. They've already got a movie, fast-tracked, a TV series debuting next year, and a few options under their belt. They're the hot new imprint in comics. And we're ranking them all tonight. Because what else we got to do? The best Jokers, the best and worst Kevin Smith movies, the best Vault Comics brought to you from none other than their own editor-in-chief, Adrian Wassel. And it's all brought to you by the Superhero Tour of New York City. Discover where your favorite superheroes save the day on the Super Tour of New York City. Receive 10% off with code SECRETS at checkout. Go to secretsofthesire.com/onlocation to book your tour today. Secrets of the Sire starts now.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome to Secrets of the Sire. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on the Sire Studios digital network. Big announcements tonight. YouTube.com/Sire Studios. We changed the URL. However, if you still type in /Secrets of the Sire, you can still get to us. Facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire and Twitch.tv/Secrets of the Sire. That'll be changing soon too. The Sire is going to be appearing on this week's episode of Evil on CBS, the new hit show. There's a young boy who may be possessed by a demon or might be a psychotic killer. We're not sure which. But he's a big comic book fan, and littered all across his room are posters, including almost the one that Hassan Godwin drew. How you doing, sir?
Yeah.
Except it had a logo on it. Maybe if they hid the logo, weuld see.
We could have photoshopped that logo out.
I didn't have a physical.
I know we didn't have. It's not. I could have given you. I could have given you a raw copy, but we didn't. I didn't know about it until.
Well, I printed out on 11x17 paper. That was the key. See, it had to be a physical copy that I had to send in.
We could have printed it. I did it in 11.7. No,
I know. Trust me. I know. I printed them out in 11x17, except it had a New York Comic Con logo. But anyway, Watch Evil Thursday, 10 p.m. Eastern, and you can see the Sire. Somewhere on this kid's wall. I also sent in copies of Mainstream, Descendant, the Sire in general, some Grimm's Fairy Tales that I did. So there's some Sire Studios stuff on CBS this week. So that's huge. Descendant coming out. Kickstarter launch date announced. It'll be November 5th. And the Sire Volume 2 trade paperback is now on Comixology. We're going to be doing an Indiegogo next month.
Still say this all could be done in the cold open.
I am your host, Michael Dolce, joined as always by the Lord of the live stream himself, Mr. Hassan Godwin. How are you doing tonight? We've got a jam-packed episode. We are ranking the best Kevin Smith movies, the best Joker actors, and we've got Vault Comics' Adrian Wassel coming on. So very excited. So let us get right into it with your Sire Bites. Don't forget.
Bites.
Yeah, I love that sound, but don't forget. Sire Bites.
Don't record that.
Sire Bites is brought to you by the Super Tour of New York City. You'll see over 40 filming locations for movies and TV shows like The Avengers, Spider-Man, and Jessica Jones. Receive 10% off with code SECRETS at checkout. Heroes, comics, and more. Go to secretsofthesire.com/onlocation.
Oh, hey, I'm not gonna waste your time. But
we gotta pay the bills, my man. We gotta pay. We gotta pay the bills.
Yeah, there are other segments to pay those bills, though. Stop wasting my time.
Zoe Kravitz to play Catwoman in the Batman. This is according to Variety. Came out Tuesday. Big Little Lies star Zoe Kravitz has been tapped to play Catwoman, the anti-heroine and sometimes love interest of Kate Crusader. This is big news.
No, it's
Kravitz will star opposite Robert Pattinson as Batman.
Why is this big news?
I think what's really funny is there's a lot of people out there that would sit there and go, oh my gosh, another gender-swapped character. However, Eartha Kitt played Catwoman in the 60s.
Yeah, way back in the
way back in the day. So it's actually...
So it's not a big deal.
It's not.
It's not. The biggest news is that Zoe Kravitz, and people are slightly underwhelmed by the choice that it's Zoe Kravitz. Even though I don't really mind her, I kind of like her, and I've liked her in X-Men,
Yeah.
First Class, and I've
Yeah.
liked her in Mad Max and a couple of other, and then the Harry Potter films, not the Harry Potter, the
Right. Fantastic Beasts. Right.
Fantastic Beasts, and where you find them. So I mean, I think it's a good get.
The big to do about this particular casting, though, is that apparently she was up for the role in Dark Knight Rises also, but was told she was too urban. That was the supposed rumor mill. So now there's a little justice that gets done.
Urban. What does that euphemism mean?
I couldn't tell you.
You could. You're not going down that rabbit hole.
No,
you know exactly what that means. You're just like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going there.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. You know what? If you had posed that question to me, I'd be like, I ain't talking.
My only regret in her casting is that the role came down to her, Baby Driver's Isaac Gonzalez, Oscar winner Alicia Vikander, and Zazie Beetz. Zazie Beetz is my favorite actress of the month.
Zazie Beetz would have been.
She's like phenomenal in everything.
And Janelle Monáe could have been. That would have been another really great choice.
Yeah, but Zazie Beetz. Let's stay on Zazie Beetz because she's just wonderful. Like she had a handful.
She was just in Gotham. Technically,
I know. She just had a handful of scenes in Joker, and I still every scene she's in. She steals the show. She is wonderful.
Isn't that weird? Because she didn't do a damn thing. It was just her presence.
Yes,
she was just she was a very calming presence.
Yes,
and you kind of hoped, it was all working out between her and Joker there.
Yeah.
But,
if you want to hear our Joker review, go check out seekersofthesire.com or go to youtube.com/Sire Studios.
But it's tough to have meaningful relationships when you blow away TV talk show hosts. It really it puts a crimp on a lot of things.
Little bit.
Yeah.
Apple Podcasts. You can download our review from there. Sire Bite number 2. Joker goes crazy with 55 million. Addams Family buries Gemini Man. Globally, Joker has collected a staggering 544 million. Meanwhile, at the specialty box office, Parasite scored the second biggest average in 3 years. Todd Phillips' Joker is laughing all the way to the bank, earning an outstanding 55 million in its sophomore weekend for a 10-day domestic total of 192.7 million, a massive global haul of 543 million.
So much for the Will Renaissance.
The
Will Renaissance.
Joker easily remained at number 1. Ang Lee's burying Ang Lee's big budget Gemini Man starring Will Smith, which followed at number 3 behind Addams Family with an estimated 20.5 million.
In all defense for the Will Man,
yeah,
everyone's saying he was brilliant in the film. It's just that the film's whatever.
The thing,
meow.
The whole novelty of that film though was the fact that it was using that aging technology or de-aging technology that we've seen in Ant-Man now. We've seen in Captain Marvel. I remember when Jeff Gomez came on. I don't know if it was when he first came on the show or off air, but they were talking about doing, Indiana Jones movies and young Star Wars movies by using this technology, having an older actor, but what's broadcast on screen. This is the Avatar technology. This is the groundbreaking technology James Cameron took 20 years to develop.
We ain't there yet.
But unfortunately,
they did some really good stuff. They do some really good stuff. They do.
Yeah.
And I gotta honestly say the few times I've seen it, who is it? Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
In Ant-Man, amazing. And Robert Downey Jr. when he was less than zero. Robert Downey Jr. when he was less than zero. Tony Stark in I think it was Civil War.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And I'm sure the Will Smith thing, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
But we're still got a little uncanny valley situation happening. Rogue One, when they did that to
it's funny. Rewatched that that scene and in the theater, to me was almost flawless. Rewatched it on Netflix and I was like, but you knew it was coming. The first time you didn't, so the first time you're just like, what?
And what about Tarkin?
Yeah, I know.
You know what I liked about
He
the
was good
Tarkin
though. He
thing?
was good the whole time.
I think it was brilliant, and then what I liked is the boldness of making him like a main villain.
Yeah.
Even though he was dead, and
Yeah.
it was, and just relying on that technology. I liked the boldness of it, and I think the actor was great, and that felt like Tarkin to me. It really did. But you put that next to actual Peter Cushing, and you're like, no, wow, that's not. I mean, we are light years away from the de-aging of Jeff Bridges from Tron. That's astonishing how bad that looks now.
Yeah, but I mean,
it works because they're in a computer. Yeah,
give it 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the funny thing too.
The first Dark Phoenix movie, when they de-aged Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, was ghastly. Patrick Stewart looked terrifying.
Yeah.
He looked
X-Men
like
Last Stand.
He looked
X-Men
like a
Last
genie.
Stand. Not Not
was
Dark
that
Phoenix,
Last Dance?
Yeah, Last Stand. Last Stand. Here's the.
It was about the Dark Phoenix.
No, I know, but I don't.
Phoenix.
Yeah, I know. I just want to make sure people, because I only heard Dark Phoenix. I didn't hear first, but I'm sure you did say that.
Well, it's because you never listen to me.
Who said that?
Why? You.
Who's talking to me?
Yeah.
Where am I?
Yeah, exactly. It's like you hit your head. I think you hit your head.
Yeah, I've been hitting my head for a few years now.
Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it.
The one thing that I'm looking forward to is de-aging technology, and this is just my hope. I've never read anything about it. My hope is that they will use that technology in the new Indiana Jones movie. That's my hope. That we'll get.
You want so you can get young Indiana Jones?
Yeah, I want a couple flashbacks. I want some flashbacks where we can actually see a young Indiana Jones.
It still will depend on the prowess of the actor, though. I mean, if he can't move like a young man, it's just going to start looking awkward all over again. You know what it is, though? You can depending on how you shoot that, though, you can have a stand. I mean, look at Tarkin. He was played by a 40-something, British actor. So, I mean, you can get dead.
Well, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a big deal. I guess that's a big deal. So, and you know what? Supposedly, the woman who, I think his administrative assistant or something like that, the person, his publicist, Peter Cushing, who was still alive, she had to leave the room.
Yeah.
Because it was so uncanny for her. It was, so I mean, I got to watch that again.
I'm excited. All right.
You're good.
We're doing a little abbreviated version of Sire Bites. We're doing a little abbreviated first segment because this is like actually hearkening back to the talk radio .nyc days when we only had 12 minutes to start a show. But because we're just jam-packed. We're supposed to go see Kevin Smith's new movie, but it turns out you can't go see Kevin Smith's new movie. It's funded by Legion M, and it's only showing in certain theaters. So we're going to hopefully review it next week. But I thought, why not? Let's do a rank 'em. Let's rank Kevin Smith movies from best to worst. And also, because Joker's just laughing all the way to the bank, I mean, we got to rank the Joker actors now. And I found an article that I think you'll like that kind of includes every single Joker that's ever made it up on screen. So when we come back. The Sire Volume 2 trade paperback is available now on Comixology.com. Telling the story of a superhero forced by his own costume to fight evil, Volume 2, Lost in Time, features the Sire taking on a superpowered mob, a West Coast threat, and dinosaurs. Featuring a cover by Jim Calafiore and art by superstars Talent Caldwell, Tony Moy, Daniel Leister, Sue Sherpa, and more, this trade collects Sires 7 through 10 and features all new bonus material. Go to Comixology.com and type in The Sire in the search bar to purchase your digital copy today. That's The Sire, Volume 2, Lost in Time, now on Comixology.com. Welcome back to Secrets of the Sires. Again, Sires, geez, man, I'm just all over the place. Welcome to Secrets of the Sire, talking comics, movies, TV, and pop culture. every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. We are brought to you by all of our beloved patrons, dedicated fans Tom Osa, Craig Caruso, Einar Peterson, Matt Beyer, Ashley Haikai, Omar Morales, Brian Phillips, Steve Ovecki, Program Director Stephanie Dolce, and as always, our Uber fan Christina Dolce. We had some cool news. It doesn't seem like a big announcement, but youtube.com/Sire Studios, because we got some cool new stuff coming down the pipeline. We're always doing comic book stuff. Descendant Kickstarter launching November 5th. Sire Volume 2 trade paperback now on Comixology with an Indiegogo campaign coming up in a few weeks as well. But we've got some cool podcast stuff in the works. So we had to rebrand our YouTube channel because it's not just going to be Secrets of the Sire. We're going to be expanding. It's going to be exciting. So stay tuned for that. This is our Rankum episode. We are going to do some fun stuff. Jay and Silent Bob are rebooting Legion M. It funded the movie Legion M. We've had them on the show as well too, and they're really awesome. It is a totally fan-funded entertainment company, and they brought Jay and Silent Bob back. So by doing so, I thought it'd be kind of neat. So I was looking online, and I found Kevin Smith movies ranked by Rotten Tomatoes. So just the Rotten Tomatoes scores has all of Kevin Smith's movies ranked. So there's actually 12 Kevin Smith movies. That's the first thing I thought was fascinating, which I did not actually realize. I mean, there is the View Askew universe, and
Yeah,
there's different universes. However, there's 12.
What's your favorite View Askew universe movie?
Easily the number one ranked one. Easily the number one ranked one, which we'll get to in a second. I'll tell you exactly why. Nothing even comes close to it.
All
Number
right,
12 on the list is Cop Out. Do you remember Cop Out? The buddy cop action comedy starring Bruce Willis and Tracy Morgan is the first and last time Kevin Smith has directed a film he didn't write.
That was a Kevin Smith movie?
Yeah. That got an 18% Rotten Tomatoes.
It should have. It should have gotten worse than that, actually.
Number 11 was Yoga Hosers. I don't even know.
What?
Yeah.
What the hell was that?
No idea this was even out. So if anybody's on the Facebook feed, please enlighten me. If you've seen it, just chime in that you've seen it.
Oh, wait. Repeat that name.
Yoga Hosers.
Hosers, like with an H.
It's the second installment of what Kevin Smith calls the True North trilogy. 3 vaguely connected horror comedies set in Canada.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
Jersey Girl.
The other 2 of the True North are in the list, right?
No.
I didn't even make the list.
There's definitely one other. Jersey Girl was number 10.
I know Jersey Girl.
Yeah, we remember Jersey Girl. You know, it was a Kevin Smith attempt to and it actually even says it in the write-up. This is from Screen Rant, by the way. So it's to pivot toward more.
Jersey Girl's the one that did better than Geely, right? The other
yes
Benifer movie.
Yes.
At the time.
Yes.
Okay. So I mean, he's got
no. It wasn't.
It was Geely.
Geely was with Jennifer Lopez. This was Ben Affleck and Liv Tyler.
Yeah, but Jennifer Lopez is in Jersey Girl.
Yeah, I think so.
And it was another Benifer movie. And then she dies in the beginning. Spoiler alert.
Correct.
Which is not really a spoiler alert because Kevin Smith actually said it at the convention just before the movie came out. That he said, look, just so you all know.
Yeah. Well, he had to. Yeah. Geely was so bad. Oh. Thanks for bringing up Geely. It's always good to see that. Tusk is number 9 on the list.
Oh, I heard
Tusk.
about that. I've still never seen it.
Tusk is the first of
another horror movie. That's one of the horror movie trilogy.
Stars Justin Long as a podcaster who goes out to interview a crazy old man.
Justin Long. That's what it did wrong.
Walrus.
That's what it did wrong right from the beginning. It had Justin Long in it. No good.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Are you a Justin Long fan?
I like Justin Long.
I could tell by your silence.
I wouldn't put this in his pantheon of movies. Underrated Justin Long movie? Accepted.
Jeepers Creepers.
Another underrated Justin Long movie? The Fourth Die Hard. One of my favorite Die Hards. I like that movie a lot.
Oh my God. Okay.
Live
All
Free,
right.
Die Hard. It was excellent. Fun movie.
Excellent.
Fun movie.
That is, okay. That's going in the vault.
He flies a.
Next.
Oh, we have Vault comics on today.
Next.
He flies a. He kills a helicopter with a car. Come on.
Next.
It's great, Die Hard. I enjoyed
Next.
that. I wouldn't rank it as number 1 in Die Hard.
It's not even on your list. Why are we even talking about
I would put
Die
that
Hard?
as number
Finish
3
your
Die
list.
Hard. All right.
Finish your list.
Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, which was okay. This one was kind of like, meh, whatever. This one's surprising. This is number 7. Mallrats.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back is 8 on this list?
And this is just
10.
rotten. This is top 12.
Top 12.
This is just
Wow,
this is the
12.
Rotten Tomatoes scores, too. So it's not like any kind of...
And Mallrats is number 7?
7. It had a 55% Rotten Tomatoes score. It failed to drum up the same critical acclaim as his directorial debut, where Clerks was about a bunch of people talking in a convenience store. Mallrats was a bunch of people talking in a mall, in theory.
So that's pretty much a Kevin Smith movie.
Yeah, it's a bunch of people talking.
Yes. Oh, boy. Chasing Amy's way down there, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Number 6 was Red State. The first non-comedy directed by Kevin Smith. Red State is a thriller with horror elements about a trio of high school students who are lured into a house with the promise of sex, end up getting captured to be sacrificed by a sadistic religious cult.
And it's called Red State?
Can't say I've ever heard of it or seen it.
That's slightly skewed political, don't you think, if it's called Red State?
Chime in.
I've never even heard of that one.
This movie, please. There's one. Okay, there we go. Number 5 was Clerks 2 with a 63% Rotten Tomato score. Make an argument for Clerks 2 for me, because
I can't. I didn't like it. I didn't like Clerks. So
David Rosenberg swears by Clerks 2, thinks it's the best one. I'm just
Nah.
Nah.
Rosario Dawson. That's all I can give you. And then,
but I can watch Daredevil and see Rosario Dawson.
That's depending on your taste.
Number
Daredevil,
4.
Oh, yeah. You can watch pretty much any Marvel Netflix television show and see Rosario Dawson.
She's in another movie too. I just saw an ad with like Ed Norton and no, she's not in that one, but it looked like her. But anyway, number 4 is Zack and Miri Make a Porno, which is one of my least favorite movies because
he directed that movie.
Yeah, he wrote it too.
Oh, really?
It's one of my least favorite movies because the first 30 to 45 minutes of it is actually excellent. And then they decide to make a porno, and the whole movie just becomes awful. Like, I can't watch it. It's like one of those things. I literally turned it off halfway through. I'm like, I can't. I was like, he had a really interesting movie with Seth Rogen and Elizabeth Banks and 2 people who were friends, and they didn't need to make the porno for it to be interesting. It was interesting on its own.
I didn't even know that was a Kevin Smith movie. I do agree that it fell apart just around the crucial moments. So yeah.
Yep. Dogma, number 3. Underrated.
No.
Number
3. Oh boy. That's a number 3 on the list. That ranks above
Mallrats.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and Mallrats and Clerks 2. That's that. Okay. All right.
Number 2 with an 87%.
Chasing Amy.
That is correct.
Uh-huh.
That's a good movie. I remember watching that. I went on a quasi date in high school with one of my classmates. Yeah. Premise of Chasing Amy makes it sound like a crass, juvenile, high-concept romantic comedy. It's about a comic book artist who falls in love with a girl, only to be devastated when he finds out she's a lesbian. However, in the hands of Kevin Smith, this is actually a poignant...
She's kind of a lesbian.
Right. On sexual identity.
She was lesbian adjacent.
Yeah.
She wasn't technically a lesbian.
She was the B in the LGBTQ.
Yes. She was the B.
Yeah. Number 1, still one of my all-time favorite movies, though.
Oh.
Ironically,
well, it's all fair because it's the one that started it all.
Yes.
So it's fair.
Clerks works though because it is such a low budget indie movie. It is a bunch of guys talking.
It works because they took that original ending off.
Oh well, yes, that's for sure.
Because that would have been the end of Kevin Smith's career if they had imagine that. Think about that. They had just stuck with that ending.
Imagine that
his career would have
actually
taken on a completely different trajectory.
Well, what if it was like, because it came out around, I think it's the same year as Pulp Fiction. Like, what if people were just like, wow, he's the next Tarantino. Look at this guy.
No,
he offs the guy at the end.
They wouldn't have said that.
Ironically, I took the girl.
They would have not accused him of being the next Tarantino.
I took the girl to see Chasing Amy because we had previously just seen Clerks together. I had to show her. I was like, "You have to watch this movie, Clerks. It's amazing." So there you go. That just tied the Mike Dolce high school.
And that's your favorite. Your favorite is Clerks.
Oh God, yeah. Come on. I mean, Clerks at the time. You got to realize also there were no movies like this. There wasn't. I mean, again, it is very Tarantino influenced, very Reservoir Dogs influenced, and just the way the scene structures are set up. But it was like a bunch of little skits, and it all worked together. And we just hadn't seen something like that in the '90s. It had an amazing soundtrack, Soul Asylum as the closer. Can't even tell.
I bet you cannot guess which is my favorite on that list.
Ooh.
Sans the ones that I didn't even know were his movies.
I'm going to go with none of them. None of them.
No, that would not be true.
Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back?
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Hey!
And only because it just embraces the absurdity so much that it actually was funny, because I'm typically not a fan of his kind of humor.
Yeah.
But there are some really solid, funny moments in that film.
The one scene I remember in that movie is when Matt Damon and Ben Affleck kind of like stare at each other because they're like, and then some people get pulled into doing favors and they're like, that was like the one thing I remember.
That's like one of the least funny moments.
That actually, I laughed hysterically at that.
That had Will Ferrell in it. And he played a character named Marshall Willenholly.
I don't even remember him in there.
Yeah. And
wow.
Do you even get that joke?
No.
You don't even get the Marshall Willenholly? Marshall Willenholly. You don't even get that joke. See, that's why. That's the difference between us. The original Land of the Lost had 3 characters named Marshall, Will, and Holly.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, it's like, it's not a good joke, but the fact that he made the joke is what made that joke a funny joke.
It's more of a reference than a...
Yeah, but it's a really terrible reference.
It's not good.
Yes, and the fact that he just went for it is what made it funny. It wasn't like, that's pretty clever. It was like, oh my God, really? And then after a while, when they doubled down on it and they kept doing it, and you're like, oh, we're really doing this. His character's name is really Marshall Willenholly. Fine. And then it became he was the only really funny thing in that. That and the orangutan that they just suddenly.
Oh yeah, I remember
they
the
suddenly
orangutan.
had an orangutan.
Yeah.
I think if I saw that movie again now, I wouldn't find it one bit funny. But
we're going to have to do a...
That was like 15 years ago that movie came out,
right? Watch. Yes. 97, I think.
No. Wasn't in the 90s. It was in the 2000s.
You think it was
2002? I was at Wizard.
Right. That's right.
I was at Wizard.
So yeah, 15 years ago.
And I know for a fact that was... I know for a fact that was supposedly the last of the the View Askew movies.
Right.
That was supposed to be his finale.
Right.
And at the end of the film, he had people from Chasing Amy's. He had, I think, was it Shannon Doherty or whatever from Mallrats? They all were coming out of the movie theater at the end of it. And it was supposed to be kind of like, oh, nostalgia. But, it was way before nostalgia was a thing. So people were like, no, this is a bad ending. But that's my favorite movie. That should tell you how much how enamored I am with his cinema. That's my favorite Kevin Smith movie. I do think there are better movies than that, though. I do
Yes.
think I do think Chasing Amy is a better movie. I do think Mallrats to an extent is a better movie. Clerks. I gotta give him Clerks because I was the same. It was like the first episode of South Park.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the aspect of the experience.
It was something
was just
different.
having that experience.
Yeah.
You know. So in it,
I can still watch Clerks though. I've rewatched Clerks.
And you don't
in the
like
past
the second
5
one?
years.
You don't like the second one?
I don't dislike it. It's like it's okay. There's just something about it being in color, and there's just something about the fact that every time you take something that is so perfect in and of itself and you try to replicate, like you kind of said, that feeling and that experience in a sequel, that's why I don't think Crystal Skull's a terrible movie. I don't think it's a good movie either, but I think the fact that you're bringing back this character,
It's a sequel though. That's what I don't get that. If you didn't like it as a sequel, if you didn't like it as a movie, then you didn't like it as a movie. That makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
This is the thing I always get into issues with people who, you know, basically people who hate the prequels. You know, I really don't mind if you disliked it because you thought it was a bad film. That's your prerogative. The parameters that some people put on movies, it baffles me, you know. So now, not to criticize you in any shape or form, in the context, I'm just talking in general.
Yeah.
Oh, he was too old. Okay. I thought that was kind of. No, I'm just saying, just in general. Not saying that was kind of the point. It was that he was kind of getting old for it. So that was, that was kind of the point of the film. The film was absurd because there were aliens in it. Okay, so you're not like a fan of the genre because it's, okay. So that doesn't make any sense. So in the sense of you're saying they brought everybody back. It's like, to me, I was like, well, it's just a sequel. It was just, if you didn't like it, it was a bad sequel. But if they didn't bring him back, it wouldn't be a sequel. Like if he wasn't in it,
I know.
So it's the same with some of these other like aspects of it. It's like I get it if you didn't like it, but some things that people were saying about it, about the fridge, like he hides in the fridge. That's absurd.
Do you know what was a great? I take this back.
To be absurd though, and it's the nuclear age. It's the 50s.
Right.
Like that was the whole aspect of it. It's like the first few were in the 30s.
Right.
And now we're in the 50s. So now we're glomming onto all the aspects of that we ourselves in contemporary times think the 50s was like, because we don't know. The 50s was just like now. It was just, there was nothing really glamorously special about the 50s other than it was, it was half a century ago, right? But cinema has painted a picture of the 50s, just like it has done the 60s, the 70s, the 20s, or whatever. And so the Indiana Jones movie takes on aspects of what cinematically we think the 50s is, and cinematically the 50s was War of the Worlds,
Do you know what was a
proliferation, that kind of, interdimensional travel, that kind of stuff, so that's.
Do you know what was a good sequel, though?
It.
Do you know what was a good sequel where they brought back the character after a long period of time of not having that character? Live Free or Die Hard. That was a lot of fun.
That's not a segue. That is a failed segue.
Well, it's a terrible segue because we're going to do some Jokers ranked in honor of Joker just breaking massive records and hauling it in. I figure why not cap off our rank 'em before we welcome Adrian from Vault Comics on by ranking the Joker actors. Now I found this from New York Times. And I thought this was actually interesting.
Are we going to rank them, or are we going to read someone else's ranking of it? Let's just prepare me for how this segment's going to go.
Well, would you like to do?
What was your plan? What was your plan?
I was going to read off the New York Times one.
Oh, you're going to let them, and then we're gonna snark our way through it, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Correct. Okay. Well, because they had a couple on here that I didn't even really think about.
All right.
They have Zach Galifianakis from the Lego Batman movie. Forgot about him, did you?
Okay. You know what? I honestly never saw Lego Batman. I cannot rank him.
Very good movie.
Everyone says that.
Very good movie.
I make no I cast no aspersions. I do not know. Everyone says it. People I respect have said it's a great movie, and you have also said it's a great movie. So
yes. Where do you think Jared Leto's Joker falls on this list of 7 Jokers? And this includes an animated Joker as well.
Where do I predict he falls?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
There are 7 Jokers, including 2 animated ones, if you count the Lego Batman as an animated movie.
Thing. The nature of the question alone makes me think he ranks way higher than he should.
Okay.
So he's 3.
No, he is exactly where you think he should be. He is number 7.
He's number 7? Poor Jared Leto.
He's number 7.
I liked his Joker-ish. He was. I think Jared Leto's Joker would be accepted, or would be acceptable, if there was no Heath Ledger Joker, or if Heath Ledger's Joker wasn't the command performance that it was.
Yeah.
I think Jared Leto's Joker would have been given a little more consideration.
You know, the one thing it doesn't do on this countdown is actually incorporate Joaquin Phoenix's. So there's actually 8 Jokers.
It's too new.
Yeah, there's 8 Jokers now.
Read the list. Let's.
I mean, we'll go. No surprise here. Heath Ledger ranks number 1. Jared Leto ranks number 7. All right. Jack Nicholson is number 4 on this list.
Yeah,
I'm going all over the place because I'm
thinking Mark Hamill is number 2.
You are correct, sir. Number 3 is not Cesar.
Culture list. This is a pop culture list.
Yeah, it's not Cesar Romero. It's Cameron Monaghan from Gotham.
I've never watched Gotham.
I know. Maybe I will when I pick up.
So number 3.
Yeah, and then
he's
Jack
number
Nicholson,
3. That's what I'm saying.
Then Cesar Romero from the original Batman.
It's a pop culture list. It's definitely a trend pop culture list. It's these guys. These are the guys you know now.
Yeah.
So they're at the top of the list, and these are the guys you probably don't know because you're too young. So these go to the bottom, and everybody loves Mark Hamill. So Mark Hamill's going to get like an honor right now. Mark Hamill belongs in the top 5.
He won the Joker laugh one as well too. By the way,
yeah, he belongs in the top 5.
Yeah.
By every measure, he belongs in the top 5. You can't really. I don't know. Cesar Romero. That's not fair. That's not putting him on the list in general is not fair.
Right.
Because putting him, I think I would honestly say putting him and putting Jack Nicholson on the list is not really fair. Only because. Or maybe no, that might be wrong.
Nicholson's good.
Jack Nicholson was the start,
right,
of the Joker,
right.
And now, not to say that was the start of the Joker character by any stretch of the imagination. That was the start of the pop culture phenomenon that became the Joker being the omega,
yeah,
to Batman's alpha, right?
Yeah.
That was also, if I recall, like that's when we were starting, just when comic book cinema was starting up, and everybody was kind of gauging which other superheroes version of the Joker was. So like Superman had Lex Luthor, they gave Spider-Man the Green Goblin, and then it's debatable, right?
Yeah.
But they kept trying to come up with like polar opposites of all characters, and and they discovered that not every one of these characters has a polar opposite like the Joker, like the Fantastic Four had Doctor Doom, right, which is their central villain. But the Joker was, I think Jack Nicholson, at least for me and my generation, he was the start of the Joker is not a joke, he was a serious contender for the throne of Gotham there. You know? So you can't really have a good Batman movie without the Joker. And then they got Nicholson to do it. Nicholson was,
he was basically the star of the movie in a way.
He was first, but that was a coup to get him because he was a serious actor and he was in a comic book movie.
Yeah. Where would you put Joaquin Phoenix if Heath Ledger is unquestionably the best? And I don't think we disagree with that. Where does Joaquin Phoenix fall? Is he number
I don't
2?
know if
Is he
Heath
ahead
Ledger
of
is
Jack
the
Nicholson?
best. I cannot say if Heath Ledger is the best. He's my favorite. I don't know if he's the best.
What do you
See what I'm
qualify as
saying?
the best?
I'm just talking about I separate things I liked it, therefore I'll vote for it, as opposed to claiming that this is the greatest because I'm partial to it.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's the best. I leave that score open to other people to interpret. He's my favorite.
The more and more I think about Joaquin Phoenix's performance, and not just his performance, but the actual movie itself, what we were actually witnessing. And we talked about it last week in last week's show. I'm not really prescribing to the fact that this is a Joker origin story. I really feel like this is more as if Joker actually existed in pop culture already, in this world. Like, in its own world in pop culture, I feel like it existed. And this is like what happens if somebody dresses up like the Joker.
Someone else said something pretty clever about it. He says that nothing happens after he comes down those stairs. Like him coming down the stairs after he murders a guy in his apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler. You don't know who he murders in his apartment, but after he murders a guy in his apartment, nothing else is real. That's someone's interpretation of it.
Yeah.
Like, that whole sequence is because suddenly he's dressed up. Suddenly he's got this amazing suit on that you don't know where he got it from, really. And he does this triumphant dance down this, down these boulevard steps, and people are like, that's pretty much where he was completely disassociated from reality.
Yeah,
So you're probably right. He's probably not the Joker.
Right.
He what would have been great. What would have been fantastic, and they just couldn't have done it because it would have been way too meta.
Yeah.
Is if he was a fan of Batman,
right?
Of the comic book Batman, and he just took on the Joker's persona, and it was a movie about a guy who just decided he was the Joker. That would be amazing. That would have been amazing because then that whole sequence of him coming down the stairs, which is a great scene. It's a fantastic scene, even in the theater. Like even when you're watching in the theater, it's like, wow, okay, yeah, this is because you're just waiting for this guy for this entire movie to just stand up. That's the whole movie. You're waiting for him to kind of do something and stand up. And if Batman was a comic book, a genuine comic book, and he had just decided to take on the persona of the Joker, just to get himself out of, and there was no Thomas Wayne in the story and any of that other stuff, that would just be, and then I would honestly decide that movie is utterly genius. It's really weird. Yeah, it's really weird. Just because it's bold. It's really the way it's done now. It's cheeky, It's just kind of, it's kind of in your face. It's thumbing it in your face. Like, is this real? Is this not real? This could be the Joker. This couldn't, may not be the Joker. You don't know if this is an origin story. I tried to make a real movie, but I just threw some comic book stuff in it so it would make $1 billion at the box office. Blah blah blah, and that's the attitude behind it. Yeah, some people may love it or not. I don't really have a grudge against anybody who really likes it or who hates it. But I think if he was like, no, this guy is absolutely insane. He fell, and it was a commentary on cosplay, and it was a commentary on the current comic book hysteria. That would have been brilliant. It would have been.
It is.
No, it's not. You know why it's not? Because they haven't said it, and they like I said, it ruins it in certain ways because they have Thomas Wayne in the story. They've got Bruce Wayne in the story. So it's like, no, you can't have it both ways. But if it was a parody and we just didn't know it until they revealed it at the end, that wasn't even really the Joker. And then the guy at the end of it, the guy goes on a shooting spree. It's a total commentary about social media, about cognitive dissonance and the psychotic breaks of dissociation and all that stuff. It would have been a brilliant piece of commentary if they had made it actually a little more ambiguous.
Yeah.
But since they tried to be cheeky in very obvious ways, it kind of, to me, it diminishes the potential for it to have, have elevated itself beyond the limits of the genre. But I mean, he doesn't rate too high in my list. I loved, like we have said ad nauseum, I loved Joaquin Phoenix's performance, but his Joker really wasn't a character.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was a character. His Joker really wasn't.
Right. There's a difference between his performance and what his character actually was in terms of what we were watching. All right.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed our rank. Give us in the Facebook feed, rank your own. We did our Kevin Smith movies. We did our Joker. We've got Adrian Wassel coming up next from Vault Comics. We're going to make him rank his own comic books because we are just that kind of people when we come back. Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. I am thrilled to be joined by Adrian Wassel from Vault Comics. How you doing, sir?
I am doing very well. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Well, you are a repeat guest now, so we're getting the SNL type moves. It's your first video though, which is good. So
yeah, first time seeing my face.
That's right. That's right. And now that you've seen Hassan's face, you might not come back on, or maybe you will. I don't know. Who knows? He's still got sunglasses on, so he's very mysterious.
He's got the look. He's got it down.
I'm not gonna take this abuse.
One of the many reasons we're excited to have you on, though, too, is just how much you guys have grown since we had you on last year. It was pretty cool. I mean, going around San Diego Comic-Con, checking out a lot of new publishers. I'd heard of Vault Comics, said, hey, I want to check you guys out and see what you're all about. And you guys had just had something optioned through Michael B. Jordan's company last year. Just refresh us as to where you were last year as to where you are right now, because, boy, things have grown.
Yeah, things have grown a lot. So at that point last year, our option was for Failsafe, and that was Michael B. Jordan and Joe Robert Cole, who starred and wrote respectively in Black Panther, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So they're teaming up again for Failsafe, and Joe Robert Cole is working on his take on it right now because he's got a super busy schedule. So he's digging into that. But we've had some really huge progress on other things that came together after Failsafe. So Vagrant Queen they just wrapped their filming the first 10 episodes of the whole first season.
Mm-hmm.
Just wrapped filming. That'll be on the Sci-Fi Channel in fall of next year. And then Heathen also has been moving forward like really, really well. We've got a director, writer. Mm-hmm. We're really excited to get casting. So that's been moving. And then we've got a bunch of other stuff going on too, like Wasted Space has been an audio adaptation. And then we launched a horror imprint in our publishing line. So yeah, I'll chat your ear off about all that stuff.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's been a lot of movement really quickly.
So basically nothing's happened since last year.
Yeah, nothing. No
movement. No movement whatsoever. Before we get into Heathen, because as I kind of mentioned off air, I've read a bunch of the books now too, which is cool because it's a lot of the books that are really kind of taking off in that sense. How involved are you in the actual production work? Do you guys get to say anything? Because most deals, to be honest with you, like it tends to be like the publishing company gets hands off, but how involved are you?
We've been super beneficial, or we've benefited from like super great teams. So on Vagrant Queen, for instance, we've been like really engaged with Blue Ice, the production company, and Sci-Fi from day one. Plus the cast is just like they're the coolest people. Tim Rosen and Adrian Ray are like really engaged comic book fans. And so they've been, like really wonderful to work with. And then on Heathen, we're still fairly early stage, but it's been really cool because Catherine Hardwicke, who's directing, has like
Sure.
a really great relationship with Carrie Williamson, the writer, and Carrie has struck up a great relationship with Natasha, who created the book. And so obviously, like, we're really close with Natasha.
Yeah.
They've all formed like a really great creative unit. So we've actually been really engaged, like every step of the way. We see sort of every draft of the script that Carrie and Catherine like work together on. It's been really, really nice. You know, it's typically the case that, like, you know, some of like the really, really big studios and stuff will create those deals you're talking about, where they have kind of hands-off approach with the publisher. But we've been incredibly lucky, and that's a testament to the people that don't do my job, but do like the, you know, the development side, and make sure that you know, our works are really being respected and represented and adapted faithfully. And so we've been really engaged, and I can't say that'll hold true for all of our stories across the line, but like these first two kind of out of the gate have really spoiled us. That's
awesome. Talk to us about Heathen, actually, too, because you had mentioned that it's a beautifully drawn book. Very interesting premise, too. What's the 30-second elevator pitch for those who might be wondering?
Yeah, well, so Natasha always pitches it as her little lesbian Viking book. She'll just like put out that card at shows and just like watch people just like gravitate toward the book. It's a book that's all about love, but it's also this book that's like a really cool sort of epic reworking of Norse mythology. So young woman gets kicked out of her Viking village for kissing a girl, and then she goes on like a one-woman quest to confront the god King Odin and basically change the sort of rules and systems of this world, which is like this really cool sort of revisionist take on Norse mythology. So it ties into all the mythos, but it also completely sort of reworks things. Yeah, and the art is unbelievable.
Beautifully drawn book. I actually found, to me, the side characters, the supporting cast had a lot of interesting tales in that too, though. You know, I love when she goes and visits, you know, with the woman, and she's cursed to never, to never be with like her true love. You know, so there, to me that was like something that drew me into the story aspect to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that moment was like the thing that just solidified the whole story for me, because you think you know where it's going to go, and then you know, she goes to rescue Brynhild, and Brynhild's like, yeah, but see, you don't understand the curse. And in order to actually fix the curse, we have to go do this totally other impossible task. And I love the way that Natasha plays with reader expectation like that. She sets you up so you feel comfortable, like, oh, I know this quest, and then flips it, and you're totally surprised as to where it goes, and you meet a whole new set of, you know, secondary characters that you fall in love with.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's funny, when we talked at San Diego, you would kind of like, I said, okay, give me the books that you think I should be reading. And so Heathen was one. Wasted Space was another. That's another book that, again, the one thing I would you know, absolutely say is every book that I've read from you, every book that has Vault, it's just very professional artwork. Where are you finding your talent? I mean, where are you finding these talented creators? Because it's, you know, sometimes when you have an indie book or an indie publisher, and it's like, you know, something gets overlooked. But in this case, it's, you know, everything is very professional.
I mean, I think just a sort of biographical history of how I got into comics really helped me find a lot of these creators, because I started self-publishing, and we all really did at Vault. And by way of that, you know, I did the convention circuit, and I met all of these people face to face as like friends first, which was really nice way to meet them, and a way to kind of hear about all the stories that they wanted to tell that weren't being published. So a lot of these creators were people that I met, you know, walking artist alleys at shows, and then scouting online using the tools that, I mean, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, they can be a nuisance, but they can also be a really excellent tool, especially for editors that are willing to put in that time and kind of dig in. And so a lot of it was about like meeting these people, reviewing portfolios that way, and getting to know that even though they hadn't had their break yet, they were committed to being professional. Because a lot of times what you see is incredible talent, but not necessarily the sort of workmanship to hit those 20 page per month deadlines that are brutal. They just are.
Yeah.
And so a lot of my job is making sure that when we take that risk on newer talent, which we love to do at Vault, that they're ready for that side of things, which is the tough truth of comics, which is like once that comic starts coming out, you got to roll. We learned a lot of lessons ourselves as publishers with that. I think we've learned like how to build way better schedules and run the ship, a lot, run a tighter ship for sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's funny too, because like, a lot of us, with Mainstream last year was a book I had come out with last year. We spent like 3 years, just trying to get the right publisher and get everything in place. And then we went to Zenescope, and Zenescope's, okay, good, we're going to do it. Great, it's going to come out here. And then it's like, ooh, you're off and running, and that's like a lot of people don't realize. It's like, oh, that's it. It's every single day was editing, writing, lettering, making sure Tony, our penciler, was coming in with stuff, and Tal was doing covers, and Tal and I would as we're, we were tweaking the script as we were kind of going to. So it's just, it's people don't realize, what a sprint it becomes after this like marathon of pitching.
Yeah, it's like literally the gun at the start of the race, like, and then you're off. Because I mean, I've tried to like explain that to a lot of creators that are sort of newer to the comics process, and most of them have been really good at listening to that. But like I always say, like, until you solicit that book, like, use every day to feel supremely confident and keep gaining confidence in where things are. The last thing you want to do is be soliciting a book when you're like tentative about anything, because you won't have time.
No.
After that, you're just in the sprint. You can't even look left or right. You're just eyes forward and moving too fast. Yeah. And so I always say, like, let's do all of our due diligence beforehand. Make sure we've poked and prodded this thing a million times, and we know that it's sound. It's where we want it to be, because once you start moving, it's especially if, like, Wasted Space is running 25 issues, to keep that thing going. We just got to be working like it's clockwork, because Mike and I are working on a couple other books. Mike's got books elsewhere. Hayden's got books elsewhere. The whole team does. So to keep an ongoing running while we're all working on our own separate things, like, you have to build that foundation before the first book even launches.
We are a big fan of segues, and that actually segues really nicely into my next question. What is your business model? Because, I mean, for me, I know you guys do the trades, but you mentioned Wasted Space, and it's an ongoing, how big are you into the floppies? How big are you into just, explain your business model in terms of, being a successful comic book publisher right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I think one thing that's really interesting about independent publishers sort of across the board right now is there's a lot of talk of like innovation in indie comics. How do you break the mold to succeed where others don't, or have for time and then fallen off? And it almost sounds sort of like regressive and derivative and kind of oversimplified, but our focus has been from day one to lean into all of the things that make comics great and brought us to comics and made us fall in love with comics in the first place. And that is telling incredible stories and focused stories. We keep our catalog small, and we focused on sci-fi and fantasy for the first 2.5 years that we published. And we just launched our seasonal imprint, Nightfall, that does horror. It came out of the gates with The Plot. And then we have Black Stars Above coming out in November. So our business and plan and strategy from day one has been to be focused. Sci-fi, fantasy, promise that we're going to do a good job, do that job, iron out all the wrinkles before we promise anything else. And then we promised horror. And now we've kind of learned that system, and we know how to deliver on that promise even better. And so in a way, our business model has been a sort of return to the basics. And yes, innovation, we absolutely need innovation. And we've been pushing like a pre-order system that we have called Book It, where you can like literally just tap on your phone screen and pre-order at your local comic shop.
Oh, that's awesome.
We've also been like really leaning into the direct market and driving, readers to orders on just by tapping their phone, so they can order at their shop, and that makes the shops happy. So then the shops want to support us, and that becomes a really like reciprocal really mutually beneficial relationship, because the direct market, everybody can talk ad nauseum about the flaws in the direct market, and they're real, and they are definitely problems. But the direct market is also a really incredible place. In today's world, full of all these giant mega corporation conglomerates, you have a lot of private business owners who spend their days in their shops doing what they love, selling books to people that love these books. And while we can point to all the problems, like sometimes we should point to how do we do that right? How do we do service to those small business owners? And that's been Vault's focus at the start, because if we can grow with them, then we can innovate together, rather than sort of coming at them with like, to retailers and readers, here's an innovation that you're totally unaccustomed to, and kind of shove it down their throat. So it's been about building a really strong mutual relationship and innovating together once we learn sort of all the sides of the business. And that's been our strategy from day one, and I think it's really paid off.
So this is actually good question too, though, is the question of like TKO Comics, for example. They give you the option of like the trade and the floppies all at once. But you're more into the serialized narrative of comics. Yeah,
I love TKO. I love Z. I love Sebastian. They're great guys. We have known each other. I've known Z for years. I've known him since before TKO was a real thing, and I'm super, super proud of how that came together. And we need that in the indie space. But what their mission and our mission, I think they dovetail. And that's sort of what I was talking about. Like we need all of these conversations going on, and we need people that have the right ideas for how to solve those problems, working on those problems individually. Yeah. Where I think I, sort of excel as an editor is honoring the serialized narratives. I love serialized narratives. I don't always want everything to be bingeable. In fact, we've always had graphic novels, and we've always had, novels, and we've had formats in print publishing that are necessarily already bingeable, and you can read all at once. One of the things I love about comics is that anticipation of the next chapter and how that changes formally what you do with narrative. Sure. And so I love leaning into that, and I don't think that the market can't have both. I think the market needs both. Yeah. So I love what TKO is doing, but our plan of attack is very much, the single issue comic to trades. Now, that's not to say we aren't doing OGNs. We got some really cool OGN stuff in the works. I think they both coexist really well. For us, though, knowing how the direct market works and wanting to build that really sort of mutually beneficial, reinforcing relationship with comic book stores, it seemed really important that we run single issue comics and learn what works and what doesn't work for them, so that we could know how to better sell our books.
Very cool, very cool. And you mentioned new talent, but you've got some veteran talent in your bullpen now. A good friend of ours, Tim Seeley, was talking to me actually at Motor City. He's like, "Yeah, have you heard this company called Vault? They're gonna do my new book, and it was called Money Shot. And Money Shot's a very interesting book, to say the least. I saw some of the artwork. What can you tell us about that?"
Yeah, Money Shot is one that is definitely not safe for work. It's about this team.
This is right. It's right up Hassan's alley. I'm telling you, right?
Yeah. No, I love this book so much. It's about this team of scientists who have figured out how to conquer sort of interstellar travel, but they can't get it funded because basically, like, aliens came to Earth and they're like, "Oh man, Earth's a mess, and we want nothing to do with it." So they hightail it and kind of leave us high and dry. And this young woman who's like a postgraduate student, brilliant scientist, realizes that, like, wait, porn has led like entertainment innovation for decades. What if we do the Star Trek model and travel to new worlds and seek out new life, and then engage with it intimately and stream that back, right? And that would be our way of funding interstellar travel. So it's this book that like dissects sort of science and intimacy And it manages to balance all of this because, like, if you know Tim, you know that Tim, like, he can pull this off. He can do this thing where, like, Book and Rebecca, the artist, she's incredible, and Sarah Beatty, the comedian that's co-writing with Tim, just makes the book so funny. But he manages to do this. He pulls off this trick of making you, like, believe in this crazy situation and then fall in love with these characters. Because what the heart of the story, if you take all the craziness aside, like, away, the heart of the story is these, like, 6 super nerdy people basically having sex, and then all of the complexities that, like, ruin or really make relationships there. And so it's like this really wonderful sort of character study of these, like, 6 totally different people trying to pretend like they can be, you know, not fall in love with each other or not fall into hate with each other, but they totally do as they, you know, shoot around the galaxy. And
I like the pun. That was Hassan's nervous laughter before when I said it's right up his alley.
Yeah,
right up your alley, Hassan. No, he's just shaking his head at me. He doesn't like me very much. Period. 2 questions real quick.
Not in front of our guest. No domestic disputes in front of our guest.
Do you know what's funny? Even my wife is like, because we just did like new promo shots for the show, and we're gonna debut those pretty soon. She's like, you guys are like a married couple. She's like, she's like, where are our shots? I'm like, it's me and his son. You mentioned social media being a nuisance before. That's a great segue into my favorite book that you guys do, which you talked about last year, was Friendo. Friendo is a scary book. It is a scary book. It is not a horror book. It is just scary because I feel like that is exactly the future. Is that what you immediately thought when you got pitched this, and how did that, how did the writer pitch you that book?
Yeah, so unfortunately, yes. Alex, incredibly prescient writer. And he's also one of the smartest dudes I have ever talked to. He's one of the few, like, PhDs in comics. The guy is so smart. Every time I get off the phone with him, I'm like, I need to go read some more books. I can't quite keep up with Alex. And Alex pitched that book as this, like, marriage of super low brow, like, really gritty, gross kind of inspection of the world with this really highbrow kind of philosophical dissection of the birth and death of cultures. And so he's put the book at this moment that feels like the death of an entire sort of culture and society, and it's like sort of 15 minutes, 15 years in the future kind of feel. But as you said, it almost feels like it's just 15 seconds away. It feels so close that it's alarming. And
for those who don't know, it's about this guy who you can buy a Friendo. It's a holographic friend, but if you buy the paid version, you don't get the ads, and that's the thing that I loved so much about it. The unpaid version without the ads is literally steering the main character to go check out all these deals and things that are going on. And that, to me, I was just like, oh my gosh, that we might as well be holding a Friendo right here, because
exactly. Exactly. And then they,
but it takes on human form, and like it's scary,
pushing more and more depraved things in the name of sort of late stage capitalism or bucking late stage capitalism. Like, that's the thing. Their kind of like mission to flip the bird to the man just becomes a mission that feeds right into exactly what this mega corporation wants. And so, like, that's the brilliant side of that book, is like how do you break a system when everything is contained within that system. And Friendo is I think one of my favorite books we've ever done. It's scathing and terrifying, but it also manages to be like really hilarious and really dark humor. Like, if you like dark humor, that book is excellent. And we've got more stuff cooking with Alex, so if you like his very keen eye on the world, we've got some more books cooking with him.
Cool.
I'm really excited about next year.
All right, very cool. This is our last question. This is our Rank 'em show. We just ranked Kevin Smith movies. We ranked the best Jokers ever to play Jokers. So I want you to rank. You can go top 5 here. We don't have to go crazy. rank in order the Vault books people should be reading if they want to check you out for the first time.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to do it not necessarily like my personal favorites or, like fan favorites, but more like, because we do sci-fi and fantasy and now horror, I think I'm going to do like kind of the poles of the two so you could gauge. So I think...
You're not allowed. Nope, that's it. So, no.
I think it would be... I would start with Heathen because it is such a like a flagship for us.
Mm-hmm.
If you like that kind of fantasy, then you can find more in our catalog. I would also start with Friendo. I think Friendo is a great choice.
Yeah.
Because if you like that really ultra scathing sci-fi, then you'll have more in our catalog. I would then also pick up these Savage Shores because it's like this really cool gothic horror fantasy involving like sort of these vampires and these mythological creatures from like other cultures. I don't want to spoil anything because that's like kind of one of the cool reveals, but love that book. So these Savage Shores, that would be number 3. Then I would definitely pick up The Plot, which is our first book in our horror line.
Okay.
Because it'd be cool, if you're a reader, to figure out like, oh, do I like what they're doing with horror? And then I think my 5th book there would probably be Sarah and the Royal Stars, because that's another book that we plan to run for quite some time. So it's something that if you invest in and you like, then you can kind of get in fairly early on a book that's going to run at least 10, probably more issues.
Cool.
I think those would be kind of my 5. Like you got some great sci-fi, some fantasy, some horror, and then I think that kind of gives you a shape of the catalog.
Very, very cool. Well, Adrian, thank you so much for taking some time. Go get some sleep. Go get over the con crud, New York Comic Con. You always got to do that. And we appreciate having you.
Yeah, thanks for having me back on.
All right, we'll get you back on. When we come back, we go spinning the racks. I'm everything my 19-year-old self fought hard to not be.
Yes, you are the...
Like 19-year-old self is like,
you've
don't
become
sell out.
what you hate. You've become the enemy.
19-year-old self, don't sell out. 39-year-old self is like...
Sell out every night.
Out. Like, sell it out, baby.
First sign of trouble. First sign of trouble, sell out.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. I want to thank our guest, Adrian Wassel from Vault Comics. Go check out all their cool stuff. You're going to be seeing some of their stuff on TV and some of their stuff in movies. Really cool guys, really nice to see that kind of success. All right, we do this every week. We go spinning the racks. All right, this was our Rankum episode. All right, so why not do our Spin the Racks on 5 90s Marvel characters that are still awesome and 5 that haven't aged well. I found this on CBR.com as well, too, from Julian Bouvet? Who knows? But I thought it was a pretty cool list, and we've got a little bit of time left. Hassan, top 10. This is 5 that are awesome, 5 that haven't aged well. Still awesome, Sleepwalker. You remember Sleepwalker?
No.
You don't remember Sleepwalker? Rick Sheridan's Subconscious? The hero comes out when the guy falls asleep, fights crime?
No.
Still a pretty cool looking character, and he's still pretty
Does
cool.
it look cool? Is that the parameter? Are they supposed to look cool, or is he supposed to like actually be a cool character?
Yeah, both. It looked cool and it wasn't cool, At a time when comic characters were all muscle-bound and armed to the teeth. The 90s. I miss you so. Part of Sleepwalker's appeal was his unique and somewhat spooky appearance. And he would protect Rick's mind and fight crime at the same time. It's a pretty cool book.
Fair enough.
Hasn't aged well. Rage. Now, do you remember the New Warriors?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is in the 90s. Street gangs were the subjects of constant media coverage. Stimulating public anxiety regarding urban violence. Elvin Halliday experienced this firsthand until a dip in some chemicals granted him super strength, invulnerability, and aged him to an adult. With his grandmother's encouragement, Elvin donned a costume and joined the ranks of the super folks, spending time with both the Avengers and the New Warriors. has not aged particularly well. His characterization never really venturing beyond the one-dimensional. His recent death put his readers out of their misery. I guess he died in a so he's gone.
Well, then he's not really that cool today anyway because he's dead.
He didn't age well.
I know.
Number 8, still awesome, Gambit. I mean, that's an obvious one. Number 7 that hasn't aged well, Bishop, which I was surprised he made the list here because I think he has aged well, but apparently according to CBR, dystopian alternative
well Jerry curls,
Well, okay. He's from a dystopian alternate future where he was a refuge from one of those futures where a gun-toting, pouch-wearing someone killed Professor Xavier. Remember that whole thing?
Yeah.
But apparently, however, as his storyline drew out, so did his appeal. And when it reached its inevitable conclusion, interest in the character had faded considerably. That's a character you can do so much with, though.
You could do it, but you'd have to. The thing is, the way they're doing this is the problem I was talking about. Not necessarily with House of X, but with these grandiose like redefinition stories, or these displaced time traveler stories.
Yeah,
there's just so much of it, and then these characters get dropped by the wayside.
Yeah,
I remember Bishop. Bishop was like an amazing character when we were. When we were growing up, and now people are like, "Oh, remember Bishop?" Because we've rebooted it so many times, and he never found his track in the in the heart of the actual X-Men. So kind of just vanished.
Yeah, no, he's someone.
Last
that
I saw
Bishop,
last time I was reading X-Men, he was with the Shi'ar.
He's in one of those House of X or Powers of X. Because I just finished the series. He's in there somewhere. So we'll see. See if he makes a comeback.
He's in there.
Marvel,
somewhere.
I will pitch you.
That's an endorsement.
We should pitch a Bishop series. Let's do it. All right, still awesome. Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl is actually a very controversial character because essentially she was introduced as comic relief in the 90s, and then they rewrote her today as the most powerful hero in the Marvel universe. Like she can beat everyone.
Okay.
She has impressive victories against Dr. Doom, Galactus, even Thanos. Yes, that Thanos. She's beaten up Wolverine, but she's super ultra popular. I mean, she really is because of this. They turned Squirrel Girl into. There's something poetic about that, though, in that you bring in someone who you introduce someone who has no merit or value to the comic book universe, and it somehow turns into this awesome character.
It's all the retconning.
Yeah. Number 5 hasn't aged well.
Stop retconning things.
Darkhawk.
Darkhawk.
Darkhawk was the S back then too, and not very good. Number 4, still awesome. Carnage. Carnage is back, and
I never liked Carnage.
I loved him when he first. The idea of
because Carnage was just Red Venom.
Yeah, but no. But Venom had rules. Venom had a series.
But that's a concept. That's not really a character. Okay, so like
Carnage was Venom without any of those.
The thing with comic book characters is comic book characters had a visual,
right?
And then they had a concept that was based on the visual.
Yeah.
A lot of times in the development.
Yeah.
So Red Venom. Oh yeah, he's Venom, but he kills people. He doesn't have a. All right, it's like it wasn't really a concept to me,
Right.
So it's not like Darth Maul, where that was an amazing visual with no concept.
With no concept, yeah.
So like you're like, holy crap, that's the most amazing. That guy's gonna be, terrifying. And he's dead. Ewan McGregor killed him. So like it was. So you're like, oh, and that's to say that's kind of how I felt about Carnage.
People have to realize too, this was an era in the 90s where, I mean, when something was popular, Marvel would just beat it to death, and it was maximum carnage. The number 3 character here is another. He's 3 hasn't aged well. Is the Scarlet Spider? That was from the Clone Saga.
Oh my God! What do you mean didn't age well? I don't remember
He's back.
that having.
He's back again. Yes, he's back again.
I don't remember that having been able to age at all. I don't remember people gravitating to that.
Apparently, according to Tom Brevoort, sales went up when the Clone Saga started, and then they made a huge decision to say that Peter Parker was a clone this entire time, and Ben Parker was the real Spider-Man. And that was just...
And it turned malignant. It was the Luke Skywalker
Last
Jedi thing all over again.
Yes.
It's like, wait a minute. Do not mess with my hero.
Yes.
You can make a new hero. Nobody has a problem with you making a new hero. But don't it was the same as saying that Captain America was a member of Hydra.
Right.
Like, whoa, dude.
Right.
Really? You guys are bored. That's the problem. You guys have the keys to the kingdom and you're bored. That is a terrible thing. Okay, go ahead.
Number 2 on this list, which would actually be the number 1, still awesome, is Deadpool. Deadpool had a passing.
Not really from that long ago, though. Deadpool's not as old as people think. He's at the end of the 90s.
No,
he wasn't.
No, he was in X-Force number 1, 1991. He was in New Mutants.
But he wasn't. He wasn't the Deadpool that we know until it wasn't.
Joe Kelly kind of did some stuff with him that Fabian.
Because I remember he was a vicious assassin in the X-Force.
Yes.
He was, and it was another visual without a concept.
Right.
And then they slowly fleshed out a concept.
Fabian has been on the show before, and he's talked about the creation of Deadpool and how it really was, just a lot of wisecracking and things like that. It's almost like if Spider-Man was a deadly assassin.
Yeah, but didn't Fabian add meat to it a little after the development? I mean, the very first appearance of him.
Right, he was just an assassin.
Yeah, he was a super spy. He was, with a lot of pouches and big guns.
Yeah,
because he was a Liefeld, addition. So
yeah. No, he's clearly. Who would have thought too? He's the biggest Liefeld creation.
Where's Wolverine?
No. Wolverine's not a 90s character. He's a 70s character. Number 1 hasn't aged well. Cable.
Cable hasn't aged well because they haven't done anything with him.
Yeah. Cable was the solution to a plot line, essentially, of what happened to Nathan Summers.
Yes. And then they marveled it. They had a number of Nathan Summers. Because there was also Strife, who was also supposedly another son of Scott Summers and Jean Grey from a different timeline.
Those clones. Yeah. This is how much comic books influenced my worldview, though. What they write about Cable is that he had a proactive approach to human-mutant relations. And I remember this too. There was an episode. There was an issue of Uncanny X-Men. I think it was 273, where Storm is leading the X-Men at the time, and she lays out all of the villains. And Cable's basically like, "All right, so why don't we just go kill them all?" And they're like, "We don't do that." And it's like, "Well, if not, they're going to come get us." And then fast forward about 10 years later, and we're about to get into the Iraq War. Yes, this is really real-time stuff that I'm bringing into this.
Uh-huh. And
George W. Bush is up there being like, we have to go after these terrorists now before they come get us. And I'm like, oh, he's Cable. That's like Cable.
And we know how to deal with him. we just have to get a clone of George W. Bush. And they can dress him up in a silver outfit, and he can counterbalance the other George W. Bush. That's how comic books taught us how to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
in reality, we got John Kerry, and then
Adrian Wassel was fantastic, right?
That kind of blew it.
Adrian from Vault, he was fantastic. The rest of us, we'll see how it goes. All right, next week, folks. Next week, we will try to see Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. Hopefully we can attend one of these meetups. I think the meetups are over. Actually, I think the meetups are this week, and we didn't get our lanyards, so we'll see. We'll see how the reviews of Jay and
Silent Bob Strike Back, right?
Sorry, Get Rebooted. Yeah, yeah. And if not, we'll come up with more ranks. We'll see you guys next week.
Real incentive to come back.